Hey there, welcome to Contracts and Chaos. My name's Alyssa.
And I'm Brenna, and we're here to tell you that you are not alone in the mayhem of this real estate industry.
We're keeping it real and sharing our stories, strategies, and successes in today's real estate world.
So come join us every Tuesday while we talk contracts and chaos. Hit go, and then you're gonna, or not hit
Right,
go,
and then
you're
I'll be
gonna
like, I
walk
forgot
me
what I
through
said.
this, and we're gonna walk through it together because
Right.
we're recording now, so we are talking about a fair housing. It's not a change; it's an adjustment.
It is a change.
Yeah,
Because previously, HUD said no.
yeah, that's true.
Or interpreted it as no. So
As
this
no,
is a
right.
reinterpretation, I think, is what it is.
I think that's a good word to use.
Yeah.
Reinterpretation.
So what we are discussing, y'all, if you haven't heard, because there was another, so for reference, we are recording this Wednesday, April 29th. So if you are in the industry, we all know what happened Monday, April 27th. And if you don't know, Google it, but it had to do with one firm buying another and the whole world fell apart. So the day before that, or the week before, HUD actually did they wrote a letter to a colleague, or there's some official form or name for what that is. And it's all about what we are and are not allowed to say to clients based on fair housing. So,
Yes.
and the gist real quick is, and we'll go through it, don't give your opinion, give resources.
Yes.
I think that's the best one sentence sum it up. Don't give your opinion, or provide resources.
Yep.
So,
and I think that most of us have been providing resources in just
no.
like you don't think that people are sharing like
I have always been
goodschools.org or
told
to
no.
look out. You can't see. I was told in one training that it's one of those things that you have to say that's information I can't provide, right? Like when they're
Right.
like, oh, did somebody die in the house? Well, first of all, I have no idea. Second of all, it doesn't matter for
Right.
us
So
right now.
I was always trained to say something along the lines of, I'm sorry, but that's a fair housing violation. And to ensure that we don't cross that line, my best advice is to Google it, because I was told even providing a resource could be seen as steering
Interesting.
because resources can be so skewed.
That's a good point, though, because like even sharing like greatschools.org or niche.com or something like that, where it's essentially they poll people, but depending on who responds or anything like that, it is one of
Right.
those situations. It depends who you ask. There's people who hate where I live. There's people who speak nothing but good things about it, you know?
Right.
So
Yep.
it is.
And
that,
same
that
here.
does
Like
make sense.
I was in a meeting yesterday, committee meeting that we're working on changing. We're actually like, our job is to change the story of this city. And we were talking about that yesterday, and I was like, it all depends on who you talk to.
Yep.
Like,
Well,
it's
I think
and
that's
even in the room, looking at the reactions to some of the things, I was like,
there were differing opinions right there.
and it was, yeah. So what we're specifically, guys, it's crime and schools.
Yep.
HUD has come out and said, we can talk about it now, but you have to do it correctly. So what
does correctly mean?
right. So what HUD actually said was, you do not violate the Fair Housing Act by discussing crime rates and school quality, but only if the information is shared consistently and without discriminatory intent. So if one client asks you about crime and you answer it one way, and another client asks you about crime, you have to answer it the same way.
Yes.
This is the I think the best comparison or example I can give is like when I fill out my agency, whether it's a listing or a buyer, that protection period, mine's
Is the
always
same.
90 days.
Yep, mine too.
Always. Because then no one can claim, or, like stuff like that. So you
I
have
think
to be
that-
consistent and non-discriminatory in the way you convey this information.
And I think that this wasn't originally, it wasn't in an effort to hide areas with high crime or bad schools, right? But the same thing, they're just changing it a little bit to make it more efficient and able for you to deliver the information. But again, there's a fine line that people walk of like, I don't think you'll like that neighborhood, right?
Right. And
Why would you
why?
say that?
Like,
Right.
one, I would never say that.
Why would you
But
say
like,
that?
what I may like, someone else may not like. Or like,
Yep.
let's make it super simple. The word walkability.
Oh,
Don't use
God.
it. And I know that's not the topic here, but it's like a very similar example. What you consider walkable, I may not consider walkable.
Right.
What I may consider a safe neighborhood, like I would walk, I know my neighborhood has problems, but I would walk around it. There's lots of people who do.
Yeah.
Someone else may not. So that's where they aren't out to ban information. They're banning discrimination.
Yes.
Big difference there.
Yes, because people, it does. It's such a, and it shouldn't be. It should be very black and white. Because, and here I think this will be easy to implement in some ways, right? So in our guides or in like those things that we hand out to the community, if you're giving the same information in those things out or in your buyer agency presentation or anything like that, that's very consistent. That's easy. If somebody has an issue, be like, I give this out. It's print like it is. This is on every single thing. It's the he said, she said situations that people are going to get themselves in trouble with.
It's the removing the opinion. Don't give your opinion. Give facts. Give resources.
Yep.
You know, like if I took someone to a restaurant and they said, you know, what do you like about the restaurant? That's my opinion. But if they say, what's the best selling item on the menu? That's a fact.
Right.
That server can, or manager, whoever can be like, oh, we sell 15 of these every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a fact. So, and I think that the safety, like for us here, the CYA is give them resources. And like you said, give them resources, but put like, especially have a 1-page PDF, have an infographic, have a page in your handouts or in your emails that's QR codes or links. Provide multiples maybe. So it's not
just one.
You know, you could say, here's 3 websites that all track crime in the area. Here's 3 different websites to track the schools in the area. Here's a link to the local Facebook groups. Here's 10 of them because each one sways a little differently. You know, God, Facebook groups are the devil. But
it's hilarious because there's one page that was like Hickory, like the good, bad, and the ugly, right? And they changed the name because people were complaining that there was too much hatred on the page because people were just like sharing all bad stuff.
Right. We have a page here. It's called Positive Growth for Downtown Gastonia.
Love that.
And the committee I'm on kind of monitors it. And they just opened a new section of our greenway. And some people were very excited. Some people were like, oh, you're all going to get mugged and raped. Don't go there.
Oh, God.
So one of our committee members literally got on his bike and rode the whole length of it one day and counted what he saw. He was like, there was no homeless population. I didn't see anyone get mugged. I saw 3 snakes. I saw 14
and I
families.
came back alive.
Right. But like, that's the thing is like,
you have to make it data driven. Again, we
Right.
have to remove ourselves from the situation because here I feel like this is a good example, right? I live on 30 acres, right? I
you
don't
own
want
30
to live.
acres?
Well, between us and my mother, our fields meet up.
Yeah,
so it's a 30
when I was
acre
up there,
piece.
I was like, I don't know who lives anywhere, and I'm trying to surprise her, so I'm in and out. Someday I'm gonna have to come up and be like, okay, explain this to me.
we where we are is like a 5 acre chunk of
Okay,
the rest
makes
of it,
sense.
but it's a lot of space, right? I don't want to live in an HOA community that I can touch the houses on both sides, right? I wouldn't want to live there. But there's a lot of people that seek those communities, right? I feel like that's a good example. But in my opinion, I don't love it. Like that's not something that I would suggest, right? But that's why this is so important to just be like, here's the data, here's the information, not you wouldn't like this side of town.
Right. Or like, it also, part of this was a liability, right? People don't want to be liable. Giving that third party resource removes the liability. And to me, I kind of think of it as like, I always give 3 lenders.
Yes.
Or more than one, because if I say this is my only preferred, then, and they don't get the best rate or something, well, I'm the one that recommended them.
Yep.
I will be giving multiple resources. Here you go. And it's funny. I had this conversation with a client last night. I was like, I can't talk to you about this. And then I got home and found this. I was like, oh, shit. Hold
Yeah,
on.
I can.
I can, but I'm not prepared yet. Hold on.
The biggest battle that we'll have, or some people will have, is removing the opinions, right? Because
Yes.
some people, opinions and feelings are stronger than fact in a lot of situations, and that's where it becomes a problem. But giving a resource, like, I can't think of a website that I've used as a resource for something like this that doesn't carry that disclaimer in it that says, like, we
Right.
only provide the information that we have. You know what
Well,
I
and
mean?
I'm
Take
gonna
this
have
with
to-
a grain of salt.
I have to ask you for some advice on resources because I've always had the mindset of I don't want to provide the resource because what if it's skewed and it comes back on me? So now I'm like, oh, I got to go find these resources and figure this one out.
Yeah.
Because I've always told people, I'm really sorry, but you're going to have to Google that. Like that, I could lose my license. I'm not, I don't want to accidentally make you think one thing or the other.
Yeah.
Because something as simple as saying, yeah, I live in this neighborhood. I mean,
Why?
what's right
the
there
hidden
opens up
what's
so
the
much.
hidden message behind that? You
Right,
know what I
or
mean?
I
I'm
wouldn't-
not saying that there is, but whatever people perceive you're saying is
Right.
goodness.
Right.
Just come up with a resource and
have
provide
it.
it
And again, like,
consistently.
Maybe you need, if you're someone like me who there are specific resources for those areas, I may have to build out a couple pages and change it what I'm providing per client. Or
Sure.
you can do the big ones and just be like, here you go. And then, the rest is on you. But here's some national resources or some that cover. And if you want to drill down more, I would always call the local police department and ask them what they recommend as their, or even just a lot of them put their annual reports online. So here you go. Go pull up your local police department.
We'll say, and the biggest thing too is I feel like it is kind of an awkward conversation whenever we've had to have it. They're like, oh, how's the crime in the area? And you're like, actually, I can't tell. And it always, when you say like, actually, like I can't, due to fair housing issues, like I can't share that information with you. That's something that you have to go out and research and look up on your own. Sounds like maybe they should look it up, right? Like
Right,
whenever I say it, I
exactly.
always feel like they're going to think that this is a terrible area when I'm like, I can't
Right.
tell you.
Well,
I'm
and
going
that's
to
like
need
if
you
people drove
to
into
Google
my
it.
neighborhood, I know people think that about my neighborhood. And I'm like, honestly, it's not the people in my neighborhood causing the issues. It's the people that come through. The people who
Well, and I
live here
think-
just don't spend a lot of money on houses.
I think that it was just something that buyers felt like we were evasive or are evasive about it. I mean, because we are right now. And it's just not, it's one of those areas that I feel like we can be more helpful and supportive. Yes, they can Google it. They can also Google like, oh my God, what's something else stupid that comes up in a real estate transaction that we get
This is
asked?
a bad builder.
Right.
Okay, so
Like,
like
you
10
can
people
Google-
in Arkansas had an issue. This is, yes, the same big name builder, but they use a different local builder with different local standards and,
Well, And there
codes.
are issues with, so, and this is a totally different topic for a totally other day. There is issues with big tract builders. There's issues with small one home local builders, right? The scale happens, I think, like they're building hundreds of thousands of houses across the country. If they didn't have a bad review, that'd be sketchier than them
Right.
having a 3-star review from however many hundred of reviews that they have, but they build hundreds of thousands of houses.
it's the same. I get like cars to me are the same way. I will never buy a Mazda again because I had a horrible experience. And lots of people did with the car I bought, and Mazda didn't handle it well. I have a good friend who loves Mazdas and seeks out the same model and
Right.
literally will like fly to a different state to get what he wants. You're never going to
Well,
see
and
him in
that's
one.
why fact versus opinion is so
Right.
important in this situation. So we want to be able to provide that public data and say Google's great, ChatGPT is great, like for resources. So even if you're telling them you wouldn't use ChatGPT to pull it up,
I would not. ChatGPT tends to skew based on other information you've given it previously or questions you've asked or things you've asked it to write for you. It's also been proven to pull very incorrect data. I would go Google and straight to like the local sources, your police department,
yeah, their websites are super
Yeah, the
good
school
with
district
information.
website. Like I would I Google to find that, maybe other resources that pull from those, but I would not recommend AI for this because it's been proven to skew based on what you've already fed it,
That's true.
and not necessarily pull accurate data.
Yeah, I was not thinking it for it to like type out like these communities and this percentage of crime rate, but more like the websites. Like where can I find this
maybe
information?
for that, but yeah, I wouldn't.
Because again, I wouldn't want it to type up that information. I've asked it to type up whatever. Let's say, I tried a CMA, right, with ChatGPT. And the way that it used homes that were closed 4 years ago, I was like, sir, Chatty G, man, you are not.
Yeah.
This
no,
can't
and I've done
work.
it too. Like, but what I do when I do that is I feed it the data to say,
Now compare
here's
it.
the listing, here's the MLS information. Help me figure this out because this one's at 500, this one's identical 2 blocks over and was 400. What am I not seeing
What's
here?
the difference? Yeah.
Right? What's happening? So yeah, consistency is your protection in this. Same resources every time. Give
That's
them
why
the same thing.
I think your best bet is to create a resource, right?
Yep.
And then if it comes up that they're asking to show and be like, "Oh, let me go ahead. I'm going to text you this resource," right? And that way they have it's the same thing. So you're not trying to have the same conversations about it or keep up with the information in the back of your head that you're just like, "Oh, that's a great question."
Right.
Let me send this
and like
to you.
red flags, I think we've kind of covered this, but like describing your neighborhood subjectively using coded language like good area, up and coming, family friendly.
That's
No.
like the MLS listing saying, "Buyer's agents welcome." Wink,
Yeah.
wink.
Right. See our
know
website
what you
for more
mean.
information. Nudge, nudge.
We know what you mean. Cut it
Right.
out.
Like, don't do that. So let's go through some real life. Okay, so we did one. Is this a safe area? The wrong answer is, well, I listened to the scanner and I've heard calls over here.
I wouldn't feel comfortable walking with my children.
Right? I mean, I wouldn't come out at night. Don't leave your phone. Or one of my neighbors when I moved in told me to never go further than my front porch without a gun.
Well, this
And
is
I was like, wait,
these,
what?
These are what not to say, you guys.
Right.
Don't write these
What
down.
we do say when a client asks, is this a safe area? You say, you know what? I don't know, but here's the resource or here's the link to the local police department and their annual reporting broken down by neighborhood.
I don't know that I would even say I don't know. I would say, what a great question. Here is, you know what I mean?
I
Because
like the rephrasing of that.
I don't know makes it sound like you don't know, right? And like, why are you the expert showing me these houses? Like, you're the one for this area and you don't know what the crime rates are, right?
Right.
So I think I would say, what
Yeah,
a great
you're right.
question.
I like the rephrasing of that. Okay, so relocation client, where should I avoid? How do we redirect them without shutting down?
Well, what you don't say is
Wow.
these are hard, right? Because and I try to make it about what they're looking for, right? Like,
Yes.
right? If they are moving here for a job that's in Charlotte, right? I'd be like, listen, these areas that are close to 16 and I-40 are easy commutes, like that, those kinds of things. Because we can share that information. That's like,
Right. Yeah, and we can share that based on experience of I've had to commute from there before.
right.
If you want a 20-minute drive home, don't live here. And the data, I mean,
And if
MLS
you
helps us
have
back
to
it up,
drive, if you have to work in Mooresville, live somewhere that you don't have to use 150, okay? Because you'll either have
Or
to leave really
77.
early or be gone so late. Right, it's one of those
Yes.
things. But it can't be, oh, well, the south side of this specific industry, like town, or don't do that. It's not even we can't. You shouldn't.
right,
Do
you
that
shouldn't,
at
for
all.
many
You
reasons.
shouldn't want to. You shouldn't feel like you need to, right? And again, I have a resource that goes over other statistics like schools and things like that. Send them the same resource.
Right,
Okay.
like if they say we want the best school district in the area, well, I know right here, everyone thinks that's Fort Mill. One, I have no idea because I don't have kids. I don't care. Two, I wasn't allowed to talk about it. I'm not allowed to talk about it.
So I haven't
So
looked
I
into
don't
it.
care. But I know all my friends who have kids talk about it. And
Yep.
I know that, I see in MLS listings, double check enrollment availability because there's a moratorium. because so many people are trying to move in that district. So I'm not going to say that to them. I'm going to say, here's the state school ranking website. I recommend you go here and look at it.
Yep. Like, what a great question. Here is.
What a lovely question. I don't freaking know, but here you go. But I mean, and part of my not knowing is because I wanted that six degrees of separation. I don't know. Because, and also like what I may consider a good school, someone else may not. I would love, as along with standard, math, science, English, I want a strong arts program. Like if I had kids, that would be important to me. But someone else may be like, no, we're all engineers and we don't do art. So that would be, I don't know. It's very subjective, very opinionated, very personal. What is important? What means something to someone? I think one that's not in here and that is something that's going to come up that people will ask about neighborhoods, especially based in the South. Well, and it's not education and crime, but it could come up about, is this a good neighborhood? Because I had a client ask me this once. There's no mosques nearby, right? What? I don't know. I mean, there's a Baptist church on every corner, but I don't. But I think that's on the line here of like, okay, it's not crime in schools, but it could be, we want a neighborhood with a strong whatever religious presence.
If that's something that you are wanting to have in your immediate area, I suggest when you come into town to take a look at these properties that we're touring, you plan an extra day or spend the morning before driving around and getting to know the areas so you know.
Exactly. It's the same with grocery stores. Like I have clients who they're not relocating like a far distance, but it's an hour away. So one of our things is we map out grocery stores before we go look at a house. We map out pharmacies. We map out hospitals. Okay, well, it's going to be 22 minutes.
They're getting older, and they're like, we don't want to be more than 20 minutes from a hospital. Okay, great. And we can figure that out.
Right. That's not fair housing. But if I had clients who said, and if you've worked with this group of people, as soon as I say this, you'll know, the front door had to face between north and east.
Oh my God.
No, nothing else. So that was one thing. But they also wanted a neighborhood where as many of the people as possible in there preferred north to east facing doors.
You know what's funny?
I can't tell you that. I literally was
we have to be there. Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm just like, download a compass app. Hold on. I don't know. The sun is there. It's like 2:00 in the afternoon. So, and it came from over there. So.
Right. Well, and we were looking at new construction. Do not rely on their map and the compass on the map because it's quite often wrong.
It is it's wrong. Often wrong.
But that's to me similar here. It's like, I can't tell you that data. So I literally had to say to them, I'm sure you're in some social groups, or whatever your religious faith is, or, other organizations where you're spending time with the people you're looking for.
Yep.
I would ask them. Or if there's something that visually you can tell, like the way a door is decorated. You know what theirs was? A high percentage of electric vehicles in the driveway.
Oh, that's funny. I had one at our Airbnb that wanted to cancel their reservation because of a specific flag that was flying from our neighbor's porch.
Yep.
Made vacation reservations and wanted to cancel because when they got there, which they couldn't. I mean, they could, but they wouldn't get a refund because I have no control over that, Right. But they wanted to cancel because of a flag in the neighbor's yard.
But things like that truly make people uncomfortable. Where was I yesterday or the day before? Talking to another agent, she had to go ask the neighbors to take it down because people were showing up for showings. Nope, we're not buying this.
I had a listing like that once, and it was always the feedback and the sellers were like, we've asked them to take it down and we live there, and it never happened. So it's not happening now. Okay, let's wrap this up. Here's a couple of things that we think that you should do moving forward. First of all, we can put links in the description with resources that we have about the information that came out from HUD. Second step, I strongly, strongly believe to be able to keep everything that you're sharing consistent, build out that resource.
Yes.
Right? Whether it's county, town, individual, like pages for each area you cover, whatever that looks like statewide, so they can access that information, put that together. Audit your language. We never should have been using opinions. If you've been using opinions, here's your slap on the wrist. Don't do it again. And just replace it with this resource, right? Because that's only going to help you stay consistent and your clients to know that you're just like, oh, what a great question. That is, if you take anything from this podcast today, when somebody asks you a question that we don't really like discuss in specificity, is that it? Specifically, I'm going to need you to say, what a great question. Here is a resource that has some websites locally that you can find that information out for yourself. If you can't find that information in this resource, Google it.
Yes. And document it. Same process every time. Same way, like I always send buyers the same template email with here's the documents we may encounter, because I don't want to print 45 pages. Same thing. I may even just do a template email that says, as we're working through this, your buying process, here's questions that often come up that I have to be careful, or no, I'm not allowed to give my opinion on. Here's the resources I recommend so that you can do the research.
That's great. If you have like an email flow that you use when you get a new buyer, like a new agency signed, put something like that in there. And that way you also have it like dated when it's emailed out, like you have that you shared that resource,
Right.
So
yeah. And so like if they ever question it, like I had a client this week say, we didn't agree to a survey or to pay for, and I was like, here's the form you signed and here's all the emails. You said to order this. So yeah. Same thing. You're covering your butt, If it's a text message, maybe even just screenshot it, save it as a PDF into your closing file so that if anything ever gets brought up, nope, here's the conversation we had. I think if my closing thought is, if you're still saying, I can't talk about that, you're not protecting yourself. You're just letting people know you don't understand the rules. The rules
and
have
people
changed
might not know that the rules have changed yet, because again, this got kind of flooded out by other news in the market right now. But I think that being that resource is only going to continue to set you apart. And this is where we're talking about this year. This is where the gap happens, right? When you start pulling away from people that are falling out of the industry. So go build that resource. And we will have links in the show notes for you guys to pull up these articles from HUD. And we will see you next week.
See you guys next week.
Bye, guys. We just finished another episode of Contracts and Chaos, but believe me, the chaos does not stop here. So check out the show notes for our email address and where to follow us on socials, and we will see you next week.